What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks onto a morning talk show and finds himself ambushed by a host who seems more interested in controversy than conversation? In just 27 seconds of one comment, a legendary star's patience would shatter, leading to one of the most shocking exits in morning television history. The studio lights were bright that morning, almost blinding as Harrison Ford settled into the curved sofa on the Good Morning America set. He'd been up since 4 in the morning for hair and makeup, flown in from Los Angeles the night before, all to promote his latest film. The veteran actor had done thousands of interviews over his decades-long career. This was supposed to be just another one. Robin Roberts sat to his left, her warm smile welcoming as always. George Stephanopoulos was positioned at the news desk, papers shuffled in front of him. And then there was Sam Champion, the weatherman who'd somehow been given a spot on the main panel that morning, sitting directly across from Ford with a smirk that should have been the first warning sign. "Harrison, welcome back to Good Morning America," Robin began, her voice friendly and professional. "It's so wonderful to have you here. Your new film looks absolutely incredible." Ford nodded, offering one of his characteristic half smiles. "Thanks for having me." "Yeah, we worked really hard on this one. The whole cast and crew put their hearts into it." "Now, you've been doing this for, what, over 40 years now?" George chimed in from his position. "What keeps you coming back? What still excites you about acting?" It was a softball question, the kind Ford had answered a million times. He leaned forward slightly, his hands clasped. It's the storytelling. Every project is a chance to tell a story that might mean something to someone. That's what drew me to this profession in the first place, and that's what keeps me going. Robin was about to ask a follow-up when Sam Champion suddenly jumped in, his voice louder than necessary. "But let's be honest here, Harrison. At your age, isn't it getting a little hard to keep up with all these younger actors? I mean, you're not exactly doing your own stunts anymore, are you?" The energy in the studio shifted immediately. You could feel it. Robin's smile faltered. George looked up sharply from his notes. Ford's expression didn't change, but something hardened in his eyes. The camera operators exchanged glances. A makeup artist standing in the wings visibly cringed. "I do plenty of my own stunts, actually," Ford replied, his voice measured and careful. "And I'm not sure what my age has to do with anything we're discussing here." "Oh, come on," Sam pressed, that smirk growing wider. "We're all friends here. You can admit it. The action scenes nowadays, those are all stunt doubles and CGI, right? There's no shame in that. You're in your 70s. Most people your age are retired, playing golf, enjoying their grandkids." Ford's fingers tapped once on the armrest. "Most people my age are doing exactly what they want to do with their lives. Just like I am." Sure, Sam nodded, but his tone was mocking. "But don't you think there's something a little, desperate about still chasing these action roles?" "Like you're trying to prove something?" Sam laughed, but it wasn't a friendly sound. "Come on, don't be so sensitive. I'm just saying there's a whole new generation of action stars out there. Younger, faster. Don't you ever feel like maybe it's time to, step aside? Let the fresh faces have their moment?" Robin tried to intervene. "Sam, I don't think that's—" No, let him answer," Sam cut her off, waving his hand dismissively. "I think the audience wants to know. Harrison, do you ever watch these younger actors and think, wow, I used to be able to do that?" Ford's jaw tightened. "I think every actor, regardless of age, brings something different to their roles. Experience matters. Craft matters. It's not a competition." "But it kind of is, though, isn't it?" Sam pressed, leaning forward with that same smirk. "I mean, the box office doesn't lie. These Marvel movies with actors half your age are making billions. When's the last time one of your films did that? When's the last time you opened a movie to $100 million? $200 million? Ford's jaw worked. You could see him processing, deciding how to respond. Box office isn't the only measure of a film's worth. Oh, but it is though, Sam interrupted. That's literally how success is measured in Hollywood. Numbers, dollars, butts in seats. And your numbers haven't exactly been impressive lately, have they? Sam, Robin's voice had an edge to it now. This really isn't appropriate. Why not? Sam turned to her, his expression innocent, but his eyes sharp. Because I'm stating facts. Harrison's last 3 movies underperformed. That's not opinion. That's box office tracking. I'm just wondering if he's thought about why that might be. George tried to redirect. Harrison, let's talk about the director you worked with on this film. I understand there's quite a fascinating collaborative process. Hold on, George, Sam interrupted again. I want to hear Harrison's thoughts on this. You've had an incredible career. No one's denying that. Indiana Jones, Han Solo, these are iconic roles. But honestly, don't you think you're kind of coasting on past glory at this point? What have you done lately that really matters? The silence that followed was deafening. Robin looked absolutely mortified. Ginger Z, who'd been standing off to the side, ready for the weather segment, had her mouth hanging open. Even the camera operators seemed frozen. Ford took a slow breath. What have I done that matters? He repeated, his voice dangerously quiet. I've continued to work with talented filmmakers telling stories I believe in. I've mentored younger actors. I've used my platform to advocate for environmental causes I care deeply about. I've shown up, done the work, and tried to maintain some dignity in an industry that often lacks it. Dignity, Sam scoffed, actually laughing out loud. That's a funny word coming from someone who keeps taking paycheck roles in franchises that should have ended years ago. Isn't that what this new movie is? Another attempt to cash in on nostalgia? Another trip to the well that's been dry for a decade? That's your opinion, Ford said, his voice still controlled, but getting tighter. It's not just my opinion, Sam countered. Critics have been saying it for years. Audiences are tired of these legacy sequels. They're tired of watching aging stars try to recapture glory days that are long gone. But Hollywood keeps making them because people like you keep saying yes to the paycheck. You don't know anything about why I choose the projects I choose, Ford said. Don't I? Sam leaned back, arms spread wide. Please, enlighten us then. Why did you say yes to this movie? Was it the groundbreaking script? The visionary direction? Or was it the 8-figure paycheck? Robin's voice was sharp. Sam, that's enough. This is completely inappropriate. Why? Because I'm asking real questions instead of lobbing softballs? Sam shot back, his voice rising. This is journalism, Robin. Maybe you should try it sometime instead of just smiling and nodding at everything our guests say. Robin's face flushed deep red. Excuse me? Are you seriously... I'm seriously tired of the fake nice routine, Sam interrupted. We bring these celebrities on. We treat them like royalty. We don't push back on anything. And then we wonder why our ratings are in the toilet. People want authenticity. They want real conversations. They don't want this scripted promotional garbage. There's a difference between authenticity and hostility, Robin shot back. Ford held up a hand. No, let him continue. I want to hear what other insights he has. There was ice in those words, but Sam either didn't notice or didn't care. Look, all I'm saying is that Hollywood has a problem with aging actors who can't let go. You're in your 70s now, Harrison. 70s. Don't you think it's a little sad watching you try to be an action hero? It's like watching your grandfather try to run a marathon. Sure, it's admirable, but it's also kind of painful to watch. George stood up from his desk. Okay, Sam, I think we need to... Sit down, George, Sam said without even looking at him. Harrison and I are having a conversation here. A real one for once. Not the usual promotional garbage where we all pretend everything is wonderful. Ford's voice was steel. You want a real conversation? Fine. Let's have one. What exactly are your credentials for sitting here and passing judgment on my career? What have you accomplished that gives you the right to talk to anyone this way? I'm a journalist, Sam replied, puffing up. It's my job to ask tough questions. No, Ford said, shaking his head. A journalist asks challenging questions with respect and purpose. But you're just being cruel for what I can only assume is your own amusement, or perhaps to create some kind of viral moment. Sam's smirk widened. Oh, so now you're an expert on journalism too? Is there anything you don't know everything about? I know when someone is trying to bait me into a reaction, Ford responded. And I know the difference between a professional interviewer and someone who's punching above their weight class. Punching above my weight class? Sam's voice rose. That's rich coming from someone who mumbles through every interview and acts like doing press is some kind of burden. We all know you hate doing this. You've made that clear for 40 years. So why are you even here if you're going to sit there with that grumpy old man routine? Sam, Robin's voice was sharp. That's completely out of line. Laura Spencer, who'd been watching from the other side of the studio, walked over quickly. Maybe we should take a break. Reset. No breaks, Sam interrupted. I'm tired of pretending. Harrison Ford has been phoning it in for years, showing up to these interviews with zero enthusiasm, giving one-word answers, looking annoyed that he has to interact with the little people. Well, guess what? Some of us are tired of kissing the ring of celebrities who think they're too good for morning television. Ford stood up slowly. The microphone pack attached to his belt pulled at his shirt. He reached down and started to unclip it, his movements deliberate. I've never once said I was too good for anything. I've been doing interviews like this for longer than you've been alive, and I've treated every host, every show, with respect, even when the questions were stupid, even when I was exhausted, even when I'd rather be anywhere else. But there's a difference between doing your job with professionalism and sitting here while someone takes cheap shots for sport. Oh, here we go. Sam rolled his eyes dramatically, throwing his hands up. The victim card. Classic celebrity move. You can't handle a little pushback, so you're going to storm off like a diva, like some precious prima donna who got their feelings hurt. A little pushback? Ford's voice was incredulous now. Is that what you call this? A little pushback? Yes. Sam stood up too, matching Ford's energy. You're so used to everyone kissing your feet that the second someone asks you a challenging question, you can't handle it. That's your problem, Harrison. You've been coddled for so long, you've forgotten what real criticism sounds like. Real criticism is constructive, Ford said. What you're doing is just cruel. Oh, I'm cruel? Sam's voice went up. I'm cruel for pointing out that your career isn't what it used to be? For suggesting that maybe you're past your prime? That's just reality, Harrison. That's just truth. I'm sorry if hearing it hurts your feelings. I haven't stormed anywhere yet, Ford said quietly, though his hands were shaking slightly now. But we're getting there. Then go, Sam shouted, actually shouted. Storm off. Prove my point. Show everyone watching that Harrison Ford can't take the heat. Robin stood up too, moving between them. Harrison, I am so sorry. This is not how we conduct ourselves on this show. Sam is completely out of... Don't apologize for me, Robin, Sam snapped. I'm asking the questions everyone's thinking. They're just too polite or too scared to say them. George had come around from his desk now, his face serious. Sam, you need to stop. Right now. This has gone way beyond... Beyond what? Sam challenged. Beyond the fake niceness? Beyond the scripted talking points? I thought we were supposed to be real with our guests. There's being real, and then there's being a complete jerk, Ginger spoke up from her spot. And you crossed that line about 5 minutes ago. Sam turned on her. Oh, now the weather girl has opinions? Why don't you go point at your maps and let the adults talk? Ginger's mouth dropped open. Robin looked like she might physically remove Sam herself. Ford's voice cut through the chaos. Do you talk to all your colleagues like this, or am I just special? I talk to people the way they deserve to be talked to, Sam shot back, and overrated actors who sleepwalk through interviews deserve to hear the truth. The truth, Ford repeated. You want truth? Here's some truth. I came here today as a courtesy. I got up at an ungodly hour, put on uncomfortable clothes, sat in a makeup chair, all to talk about a film that a lot of people worked very hard on. Not just me. Hundreds of people. The director, the crew, the other actors. This interview was supposed to help them, but instead of talking about the work, you've decided to turn it into some kind of personal attack. Because apparently, that's what passes for content these days. Oh, please, Sam waved dismissively. Spare me the noble speech. But you're here because your contract requires it. Because the studio made you come. Let's not pretend this is some altruistic gesture. You know what? Ford unclipped his microphone, the small device coming free from his collar. His hands moved deliberately, each motion controlled, despite the anger clearly bubbling underneath. You're right about one thing, Sam. I am contractually obligated to do press. My contract specifies how many interviews, how many appearances, how many promotional events. The studio invested a lot of money in this film, and they want their return. That's business. That's how this industry works. I've never pretended otherwise. Finally, some honesty, Sam muttered. I'm not finished, Ford said, his voice cutting through. Yes, I'm here because of a contract. But you know what that contract doesn't include. It doesn't say I have to tolerate being disrespected. It doesn't say I have to sit here while you use me as a punching bag to make yourself feel important. It doesn't say I have to smile and nod while you insult my age, my career, my choices, my colleagues, and my character. So sensitive, Sam said, but his voice was less confident now. No, Ford corrected. Not sensitive. Just done. Done with this conversation. Done with your attitude. Done pretending that what you're doing here is anything other than mean-spirited theater. Mean-spirited? Sam's voice climbed again. I'm the only one here willing to have a real conversation. Everyone else is too busy protecting the celebrity's feelings. A real conversation requires two people actually listening to each other, Ford said. You haven't listened to a single thing I've said. You've just been waiting for your turn to attack again. Robin reached out. Harrison, please, you don't have to. Actually, I do, Ford said, his voice firm but not angry. Just done. I've been in this business long enough to know when to walk away from a bad situation. This is one of those times. Sam laughed, loud and mocking. So, you are storming off. Can't take the heat. So you're leaving the kitchen. How very professional of you. Ford turned to look at Sam directly. No. What's unprofessional is ambushing a guest with personal attacks disguised as questions. What's unprofessional is treating your colleagues with contempt on live television. What's unprofessional is confusing cruelty with honesty. You want to know what I've learned in 40+ years? I've learned that life's too short to waste time with people who get their kicks from tearing others down. Wow, what a hero, Sam's voice dripped with sarcasm. Walking away when things get tough. Real brave. Sam, shut up, George said, his voice harder than anyone had ever heard it. Just shut up. Sam looked genuinely shocked. Excuse me? You heard me, George continued. You've embarrassed this show. You've embarrassed yourself. And you've disrespected a guest who didn't deserve any of this. So just stop talking. Ford nodded at George, then at Robin. I'm sorry you had to deal with this. You've always been kind to me. He looked at Ginger and Laura. All of you have. Harrison, we're the ones who should be apologizing, Robin said, and there were actual tears in her eyes. This is not who we are. I know it's not, Ford replied gently. That's why I'm making this easy. I'll see myself out. You're really going to walk off a live broadcast? Sam called out as Ford started to move toward the exit. You know how this is going to look, right? Like you couldn't handle a real interview. Ford paused, turned back one more time. Let me tell you how this looks. This looks like a man who has enough self-respect not to participate in whatever this is supposed to be. You want to call it walking off? Fine. Call it whatever you want. I call it maintaining my dignity. Dignity? Sam was practically shouting now. You think running away is dignified? I think knowing when you're being disrespected and choosing not to tolerate it is very dignified. Yes. Oh, so you're too important to be challenged. Too special to answer tough questions? Ford's patience, which had been stretched impossibly thin, finally snapped. His voice rose, not to a shout, but to something more powerful. Controlled fury. I have answered tough questions my entire career. I've been asked about my failures, my divorces, my controversies. I've sat through uncomfortable interviews and handled them with grace. But there is a difference between a tough question and what you're doing. You're not interested in my answers. You're interested in creating conflict. You're interested in making yourself look edgy and relevant at my expense. And I will not be a prop in your sad little performance. The studio was dead silent. Even Sam seemed momentarily stunned. Ford continued, his words precise and cutting. You want to know why I sometimes seem tired in interviews? Because I've been asked the same questions 1,000 times by people who haven't done their homework. You want to know why I give short answers? Because I learned a long time ago that some interviewers aren't actually listening. They're just waiting for their turn to talk. And you want to know why I'm leaving right now? Because I have spent decades earning respect in this industry, and I will not sit here while someone who couldn't carry my coffee on a film set lectures me about my career. Sam's face was red now. Who do you think you are? I'm someone who knows their worth, Ford replied, and I'm someone who's done here. Robin grabbed his arm gently. Harrison, please, give us a chance to make this right. He softened when he looked at her. Robin, you've been nothing but professional. This isn't about you. But I can't sit back down on that couch and pretend the last 10 minutes didn't happen. I just can't. The audience deserves to hear about your film, she tried. The audience deserves better than what they're getting from this show right now, Ford said, glancing toward the cameras. And so do I. Sam stood up from the couch. Fine, leave. Go back to your mansion and your easy life, and keep pretending you're still relevant. See if I care. I don't need you to care, Ford said simply. I don't need anything from you. You needed this interview, Sam shot back. Your movie needs the promotion. My movie will be fine, Ford replied. It's good. People will see it because it's good, not because of a morning show segment. Your arrogance is unbelievable. Ford actually smiled at that, but it wasn't a happy smile. Coming from you, I'll take that as a compliment. Laura stepped forward. Harrison, I know this has been awful, but we have millions of people watching. If you leave like this, it's going to be all anyone talks about. Then let them talk, Ford said. I've been talked about before. I'll survive, but I won't compromise my self-respect for ratings. George approached him. What if we removed Sam from the panel? Could you stay if we continued the interview without him? Sam's head whipped around. You can't be serious? You're going to kick me off my own show? It's not your show, George said coldly. And yes, I'm absolutely serious. This is ridiculous. Sam's voice went up another octave. I'm being punished for doing my job. Your job is not to verbally abuse our guests, Robin said firmly. Your job is to inform and entertain, seeing you've done neither. Ford held up his hand. I appreciate the offer, George, but I think I'm past the point where I can just sit back down and talk about the movie. The moment's gone. The goodwill is gone. It's better if I just go. But, Robin started. I mean it, Ford said gently. This isn't anyone's fault except his. He gestured toward Sam without looking at him. Don't beat yourselves up over it. You didn't do anything wrong. A producer rushed onto the set, headset askew, panic written all over her face. We need to make a decision. We're in a commercial break, but we come back in 90 seconds. Ford was already unclipping the last of his microphone gear. The decision's made. I'm leaving. You can say I had a family emergency, a scheduling conflict, whatever you want. I won't contradict it. No, Robin said, eyes straightening her shoulders. We'll tell the truth. We'll say there was a disagreement, and you chose to leave. Our viewers deserve honesty. Ford looked at her with genuine respect. You're a class act, Robin. Always have been. So are you, she said quietly. I'm so sorry. Stop apologizing, he told her. You did nothing wrong. None of you did. His eyes swept over George, Laura, and Ginger. This is all on him. Sam, who'd been standing there with his arms crossed, suddenly exploded. Oh, that's perfect. Blame everything on me. I'm the bad guy for having the guts to ask real questions. You're all so busy kissing up to celebrities that you've forgotten what journalism is. Journalism? Ginger laughed, but it was bitter. Sam, you attacked him from the moment he sat down. That's not journalism. That's just being mean. I was creating compelling television. You were creating a hostile work environment, George corrected. And when we go back from break, you won't be on this panel. Sam's face went pale, then red, then pale again. You can't do that. Watch me, George replied. The producer's voice cut in. 60 seconds. Ford headed toward the exit, and that's when Sam made his biggest mistake. He rushed forward, trying to block Ford's path. You don't get to just walk away from me. Ford stopped, and for a moment, everyone in the studio held their breath. The legendary actor stood at his full height, looking down at the weatherman who'd spent the last 15 minutes trying to tear him down. Move, Ford said, his voice low and dangerous. Make me, Sam challenged, though his voice wavered. Two security guards appeared from the wings, clearly having been summoned by someone. They moved towards Sam, not Ford. Sir, you need to step back, one of them said to Sam. I'm not going anywhere, Sam shouted. This is my show. 30 seconds, the producer called out. Robin made a decision. She stepped between Ford and Sam, her back to the weatherman. Go, she told Ford. Just go. We'll handle this. Ford nodded, walked around them, and headed for the exit. Behind him, he could hear Sam still shouting. This is absurd. I'm being escorted out for doing my job. Harrison Ford is walking off a live broadcast and I'm the one in trouble? The last thing Ford heard before the studio door closed behind him was Robin's voice, calm and professional, saying, 15 seconds to air, everyone. Let's get ready to explain to our viewers what just happened here. And then he was out, in the hallway. The sounds of the studio muffled behind the heavy door. A production assistant stood there, eyes wide, clearly unsure what to do. Mr. Ford, do you need anything? Water? A phone? He shook his head. Just a way out of this building. Of course, this way. As they walked through the corridors of the studio, Ford could hear the show coming back from commercial through speakers mounted in the ceiling. Robin's voice, steady despite everything, saying, Welcome back. We need to address what just happened before the break. He didn't stop to listen to the rest. He just kept walking, out of the building, into the New York morning, leaving behind one of the most explosive moments in morning television history. Not because he'd lost his temper, not because he'd shouted or cursed or thrown anything, but because he'd simply decided that his dignity was worth more than the interview. That some behavior didn't deserve to be tolerated, no matter how big the platform. And in that moment, walking away, Harrison Ford had said more about character and professionalism than any scripted interview segment ever could.